Every president signs hundreds, sometimes thousands of documents, bills, executive orders, pardons, emergency decisions that affect millions of lives. But what happens if a president didn't physically sign some of them? What if a machine did it instead? And what happens when a former president claims that 92% of the documents signed by his predecessor are invalid? Tonight we dive deep into the controversy that is exploding across Washington. The AutoPen War, a battle of law, power, politics, and a device most Americans have never even heard of. Stay with me, because this story gets stranger, louder, and more dramatic the deeper we go. Before we go into the chaos, let's start with the basics. An AutoPen is a machine, yes, literally a robotic arm. T reproduces the president's signature. It's been around for nearly a century. President Truman used it. President Eisenhower used it. President Kennedy used it. And every modern president has used it. Obama, Trump, Biden. Why does it exist? Because the presidency doesn't sleep. There are days when the president is traveling time zones apart or medically unavailable. And laws have deadlines. Bills must be signed. Security documents must be approved. So the AutoPen was invented as a legal, approved way for presidents to keep the government functioning. But here's the twist. The AutoPen is only legal if the president personally authorizes the signature. That detail will matter a lot later. Things stayed quiet until now. Former President Donald Trump posted a message online claiming approximately 92% of them is hereby terminated and has no legal effect. He accused Biden of not being involved in the signing process. He accused Biden's team of illegally using the device, and he even threatened perjury charges if Biden claims he approved the AutoPen usage. It was bold, it was dramatic, and it sent shockwaves across the political world. Newsrooms scrambled, legal experts rushed to comment, and Americans were left asking, can a president really do this? Can a president terminate past documents? Can a former president overrule signatures from another administration? Let's break this down. To understand the legal side, we have to go back in time. In 2005, President George W. Bush's Department of Justice ruled that a president may instruct someone to apply his signature via AutoPen, and it is legally valid. In 2011, President Obama used the AutoPen to sign an extension of the Patriot Act from France. It was completely valid. Trump himself used the AutoPen during his presidency, especially while traveling. So if every president has used it, why is it controversial now? Because Trump is making a new claim. Not that the AutoPen is invalid, but that Joe Biden didn't personally authorize the signatures. That is the core of the conflict. President Biden and his administration have repeatedly said all AutoPen usage was fully authorized, supervised, and approved. They insist he reviewed every document, even if someone else physically applied the signature. So where did the 92% number come from? Nobody knows. Not even Trump's own advisors could verify it. Legal experts immediately responded, a president cannot cancel another president's pardons. Executive orders can be reversed, but only one by one, not automatically. Perjury requires sworn testimony under oath, not social media statements. So legally, Trump's claim is shaky, but politically, it's explosive. When you zoom out, the bigger picture becomes clearer. This controversy is not just about a machine. It's about perception. It's about power. It's about legitimacy. For months, Trump has questioned Biden's decision-making abilities. This AutoPen claim fits into that narrative. Biden wasn't really running the country. His staff was making decisions for him. He didn't sign the documents himself. Whether true or not, it's a powerful rhetorical weapon, especially for Trump's political base. But here's what experts say. Even if Biden didn't physically hold the pen, as long as he authorized it, the signature is valid. This is where things get interesting. Let's break it down by category. 1. Executive orders. Yes, a new president can reverse them, but individually, manually, one by one. not by declaring them all invalid. 2. Laws passed by Congress. No, cannot be canceled, even by a president. 3. Presidential pardons? Absolutely not. Pardons are permanent once granted. 4. Administrative decisions, some can be changed, but only through proper legal processes. So Trump's statement legally does not reverse anything, but politically, it creates confusion, pressure, and enormous media coverage. And that may be the actual purpose. Inside the White House, officials reportedly laughed off the claim. Why? Because the law is clear, and no institution, the DOJ, Congress, courts, treat such announcements as legal orders. This appears to be a symbolic move, not a functional one. But while the legal world may ignore it, the public conversation does not. Cable news debates, social media storms, political tribalism intensifies. And suddenly a niche topic, the AutoPen, is national news. This is where things get deeper. For decades, critics have asked, how much does the president personally oversee? How many decisions are handled by staff? How much is delegated? The AutoPen becomes a symbol of that larger debate. Was Biden fully aware of everything he was signing? Did staff use the AutoPen too frequently? Is the presidency becoming more automated? These questions matter far beyond Trump or Biden. They go to the heart of modern governance. Here's what experts believe. No documents will be canceled. No pardons will be reversed. No perjury charges will be filed. No legal crisis is unfolding. But politically, the controversy will continue. Trump will likely release more posts. Biden's team will respond. Supporters will argue. Opponents will argue. And the AutoPen little machine hidden inside the White House for decades has suddenly become the center of a national political fight. In the end, this isn't a story about technology. It's a story about power, perception, and presidential authority. And this is only the beginning. It's a story about power, perception, and presidential authority. And this is only the beginning. Think of the presidency as a stone dropped into a vast lake. The splash is the big headline, the post, the accusation, the photograph. But the real story, it's the ripples. Policy advising teams scrambling. Even mundane government offices, the ones that process visas, contracts, and safety rules, suddenly feel the pressure of a political earthquake. But what do those ripples look like in practice? Let's zoom in. When a president declares something invalid on social media, it doesn't instantly rewrite the law. Still, it forces agencies to respond. Council offices do emergency memos. Agency heads field calls from Capitol Hill. Contractors delay decisions. Hospitals, schools, and businesses that rely on federal rules watch carefully because even a hint of reversal can stall funding, procurement, and enforcement. And that's precisely why the language matters. So here's a concrete line you can use on the screen. Any documents signed by Joe Biden using the AutoPen, approximately 92% of them, is hereby terminated. That sentence went viral and sparked the whole firestorm. It's being repeated in living rooms and committee hearings alike. But remember, a social media declaration is rhetoric. Law requires procedure, courts, and paperwork. Still, rhetoric moves politics. Rhetoric changes behavior. Rhetoric forces institutions to act. If you're following this, hit the like button and drop one sentence below. Do you think a president's social post should ever change government policy? I'll feature the best replies in the next video. Let's be blunt about the legal reality. Executive orders, they can be rescinded by the next administration, but not magically. Each order requires an administrative action. Laws passed by Congress, pardons, final. Contracts and rulemaking, they have their own legal timelines and due process protections. So while dramatic claims make headlines, the machinery of government usually moves slower and with more paperwork than a tweet suggests. But there's one place where the noise does matter. Even if nothing immediate changes in law, the political cost can be huge. This AutoPen controversy reshapes the narrative about fitness, control, and legitimacy. For opponents, it's evidence. For supporters, it's righteous correction. For independents, confusion. And in modern politics, narrative often shapes future policy fights, judicial appointments, and even international relations. The hidden layer of the AutoPen controversy. Here's the part almost nobody talks about, and yet it's the most important. Whenever a president uses the AutoPen, a paper trail is created behind the scenes. A confidential internal memo is logged. A staff member records the exact time, date, document number, and the president's explicit authorization. This record is stored in the White House counsel's office, sometimes for decades. Why does this matter? Because if any dispute ever reaches court, judges don't look at tweets or speeches or political statements. They look at this authorization record. That's the true legal proof of whether the signature was valid. And here's the twist. Multiple former White House lawyers from both parties say that no AutoPen signature is applied without the president reviewing and approving the final version first. It's a controlled, documented, traceable process, not a casual button someone presses. So while public debates focus on the visible signature, the real power lies in that invisible trail of internal memos. That's what determines legality. That's what determines authority. And that's the layer of the presidency most Americans never see, but absolutely should.